Okay, so now we're getting to work, and we're going to get this body off. Flip this body off. Get the front off. There we go. It's going to come off. To the side. Battery right here. I know I left this battery right here. Good thing it wasn't a light bulb. So this is a very simple upgrade, and it's relatively quick. I'm going to have to take a couple extra steps because you see I have the Traxxas link module installed to give me my speed. So first we're going to get that off. Now if you haven't done this upgrade, obviously you won't have this issue, and you'll be able to start this a lot sooner. Just as an FYI, I don't remember what part number that is to attach the telemetry expander, but I'll see if I can pull that up and put that in the description. In order to remove the motor cover, you have 4 screws here you have to get rid of. You got 1 right here, 2 right here, 3 right here, and the 4th one is actually underneath there. So here, let's get these 4 screws off. And you can see the motor cover pops right off. Now, when I did my upgrade to my Corvette, I actually upgraded the pinion to a 26 tooth pinion. I'm going to be leaving the stock pinion in this one for the moment. I may upgrade it later, but as of today and right now, I'm going to be leaving the stock pinion on. So with that being said, now we need to remove the motor. Now will come right out, but now we need to remove the ESC. So first, let's get the motor out, and you may have to take off this cover. I don't know, but we'll see. So to remove the ESC, you have these 2 screws right here. 1, 2, and you can see these are countersunk screws. So because these are here, let me give you guys a little close up. So you can see right here, you got to remove these 2 screws. 1, 2, and these are countersunk screws. So that's the reason you got to get parts 3179 or part 2553, because these are countersunk screws. So the next thing you have to do is you just have to take off the cover of your ESC to remove the connection to the I'm sorry, I said the cover to your ESC. This is actually the cover to your receiver box, so you can remove the connection to the ESC. So there you go. Now you got the ESC cover off. I keep saying ESC cover. Got the receiver cover off. Now we're just gonna take out the ESC, unplug the ESC, which should be in the channel 3 right here. So now you can see we got the motor off with the ESC. Putting those to the side, may use those later. And another bill. So now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get this ESC installed. Okay, so my little trick for what I like to do, and I learned this from doing this to my Corvette, is I have a small wrench here. So, and of course I knock that off. Okay, so my little trick that I like to do for this, like I said, I learned this from doing it with my Corvette, is I use that small wrench that I have. To hold that tight. Like I said, I use that small wrench just to tighten it down. Now, considering this is not a basher, per se, I'm not too worried about it coming off or anything like that. But so now you have those installed. So the next thing is you need to do your motor. Like I said, I'm going to be using the same pinion, so I need to take this pinion off. You can use your manual to see which spot you need to put this in. So I'm going to be staying in spot B because I'm using the same pinion. I do remember that when I did the upgrade for my Corvette, I actually had to move this to spot J. But for this one, it'll be spot B because I'm using the same pinion. Now, I would like to point out, when you're putting this on, pay attention to where your wires are, because you don't want your wires to, you can mount this in a couple of different spots, and you don't want your wires to be in the way when you put it in. I'm going to put mine right there. That should be a good spot for me. We need to put the pinion back on. Make sure you have on the flat side that you're putting your pinion on the flat side. Put this back together. Oops. So you can see right here that is a much better sitting, you know, the pinion is lined up a lot better now. The pinion is lined up a lot better now. Take off that little cover right there, the little black cover, and that's actually held on. That's actually held on by 2 screws right there. 2 screws right on the Traxxas. So we're going to run the wire for the ESC real quick. And the wire for the ESC just literally just runs right through there. So we're just going to run that real quick. We can use my tester lipo. Steering works. Mesh sounds pretty good. But now, just a couple more things to finish up here. First, we're going to reattach that wire cover on the bottom. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is attach the cover for the receiver. And I will once again point out, you see how lightly I hold my power screwdriver? As soon as I can get any resistance, it spins right out of my hand. And the reason that I do that is I want to ensure that I don't strip any of this plastic. Okay, so we have that all done. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to throw on this motor, this fan to cool the motor. And this is a quick snap on. And just like that, you see we have the Velineon system installed. Let's turn this around, get a better angle of it. So we have the Velineon system installed. ESC motor. You'll notice that how I ran the wires underneath there. So try to keep the wires out of the way. And I need to run this wire underneath that motor fan, right down those motors. I'll do that later, but that's no big deal. So the Supra is now upgraded. So with that, the Supra is now upgraded to Velineon power. And we'll take this out in a day or so, and let's see what type of speed we can get with it. I'm not going to push this one to the limit, because when I push my Corvette to the limit, I ended up flipping it and scratching up the body, and that's going to cost me $100 to get a new body. So don't want to scratch up this body. So I just want to see if I can get it above 50. If I can get it above 50, I'll be happy. Okay, so we're out here testing the Supra. We've done some upgrades to this, and we're going to see what we get. We're still running the stock pinion and the stock spur gear, but I have upgraded the motor to the Velineon 3500 motor, and I've also upgraded the EST, and we are running 3S. Okay, so we already pulled the trigger a couple of times out here, but
you can see that we're running a 3S LiPo 5000 pack, and we have the Velineon 3500 motor installed, and we have the 3S ESC, the 3XL ESC, which allows us to run 3S. So let's see what this thing can do. We're still running the stock motor and we're still running the stock pinion, and we're still running the stock pinion, and we're still running the stock spur gear. And once again, you gotta give Traxxas credit for the clickless body system. Makes doing this with one hand really easy. So here is the screenshot from the Traxxas app, and I topped out at 35 miles an hour with the Supra using, once again, the stock pinion and stock spur. And I do have the Traxxas GPS module installed. This is not just reading revolutions from the engine, but I did top out at 35 miles an hour, which is pretty good. Okay, so we just ran the Supra. It's not my maiden voyage for it. I've run it a couple times, but this is my first time running it since I upgraded to the Velineon power system. And using the stock spur gear and the stock pinion, we topped off at about 35 miles an hour. Now, we're about to run the Corvette, which I've upgraded the pinion to, and I'll put the notes in the description of what I upgraded the pinion to for the Corvette. But I'm literally using the exact same battery that I just ran in the Supra, not recharged or anything. I'm running the exact same battery, and I want to see what type of speed I get with the Corvette. So okay guys, so you can see in these screenshots right here that I'm now running the Corvette, and I'm actually running the Corvette on the exact battery that I was using with the Supra a few minutes ago. And this battery was actually just a few minutes of going into low voltage mode, so it wasn't a fully charged pack. But even with this partially discharged battery, I topped out at 45 miles an hour with the Corvette. In my previous videos with the Corvette, I've actually hit over 60 miles an hour. So I think if I upgrade the Supra to probably a 22 or 24 tooth pinion, this will give me the type of speeds that I'm looking for in that 50 mile an hour range. So all in all, a very recommended upgrade. If you guys are looking to do it and get a little more speed out of your Supra, I think it's a great upgrade. So guys, thanks for watching, and get out there and break something.